and give my officers, some fun tools to play around with, and
No. Hey, do you get a lot of girls flying that drone? Like, are you just sitting here flying and like hot girls come up to you? I'm like, what are you doing? The superintendent of Chicago is not even really in charge. He's just a spokesperson to take the hits on TV and who reads from a script. The mayor, our mayor's not in charge. She's just doing what they tell her to do. She's not smart enough to know about half the stuff she talks about on TV.
I spent some time overseas, and we traveled everywhere we went was with bulletproof glass.
But you were overseas?
Yeah.
What'd you do? CIA?
No.
Could you tell me if you did?
No, I wouldn't tell you. I was not.
Me neither.
I did dignitary protection overseas for the Department of State.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Not much. How are you?
Oh, if I could survive the carjackings and the politics, the pizza here is great.
Well, I don't know what we have great here in Ohio, but come on up. You're welcome. Move.
So thank you both for coming on. I sincerely appreciate it. All my friends who are outside of Chicago, the closest they come to visiting Chicago and me is through the computer. So I do thank you for your time.
Welcome.
The story that you guys have, big fan of it. I wanted to read the story, but I'll just get straight to it. To make a very long story short, your department and your officers were in the news because there was someone who was driving, and correct me if any of my information is wrong or false. From what I heard from the media that made world news is there was someone driving on a suspended driver's license. One of your officers or an officer in your area attempted to pull that individual over, and he decided to not stop.
That's
And
correct.
we have obviously that problem in Chicago. Our Chicago police wanted to chase our people who don't stop. They're told from City Hall and the higher ups who want crime to happen, you can't chase them because it's a safety concern. They could, as you know, they could possibly run someone else over in the process of trying to apprehend that person.
Oh yeah.
You guys thought of something really smart. You said, okay, we're still going to get this criminal off the street and we're still going to do it in a safe way. You guys flew a drone and caught him that way.
Well, these guys, yes, they were. The officers were attempting to stop the vehicle on a minor misdemeanor, a suspended license, not a big deal. Pull over, get your, the officer might give you a warning or give you a citation, and you're on your way. Law enforcement, that's what we're paid to do. We're out there to try to protect the communities and make sure people are abiding by the law and doing what's right. And when you run this tag and they're not supposed to be driving, we got to find out why. We stop them, and it would have been a simple citation on the side of the road. But no, they decided to take it to extreme levels, high speed rate of speed down the highway. The officers had to deploy stop sticks because we don't know why they're running, what's going on. And then they bail out of the car and start running into places that they have no business running into, deep swamp with water. So, thanks to Patrolman Ghetto, who has this equipment on board in his patrol vehicle, instead of him running through there and getting wet and muddy, he sent the drone up and found the individuals running through the swamp and was able to safely, effectively execute their arrest.
Didn't criminals just get a lot dumber since we were growing up? Like, my friends, they used to be smart criminals, and these criminals, it's just like you said, it was a simple, and that's what caught my attention too. It was a simple driving on a suspended driver's license, which was just pretty much a little. And he just turned it into a felony and all kind. Yeah. So let me ask you something. In Chicago, our Chicago police, a lot of them get the reputation where some citizens think that they suck at their job. Many years ago, I used to think the same thing until I started looking into it and investigating and doing research and actually reaching out to them and talking to them and hanging out with them and drinking with them. And that's how you get a bit better understanding of people, when you just do a simple conversation in person. I found out that City Hall and the lawyers at City Hall, who control the mayor, they won't allow these drones. They won't allow these officers to do pretty much anything at all. How did you guys, and I think I already know the answer because your government is not like my state government. In Chicago, as I'm sure you know, we are known to be corrupt. One of the most corrupt cities with our so-called public officials. How did you guys get permission to use the drone, get the drone, fly the drone, use the drone as Exhibit A? How did, like, you guys just did it on your own, or you needed special permission from your honest politicians?
No, I mean, in law enforcement in this area, a lot of agencies have utilized the drone technology for several years. Um, the, to get that technology, it is expensive, so departments need to have the means to purchase that. Out
How
here,
much is a drone?
the drone was a little over $7,000. It
We
has the
we got
thermal,
$1 billion from the red light camera system here, so we could afford it.
Well, I don't know too much about Chicago. I do see, the politics and things that are going on there. I am familiar with some of the crime and activity that's going on in Chicago, and it does break my heart that there's good officers out there that want to do that. I think every officer that puts on the badge, they want to go out there and protect their communities and make sure that it's safe and have a wonderful place for people to live and raise their families. And it is discouraging that there are government entities out there that kind of put the kibosh to what law enforcement should be doing and tie their hands either financially or with training or with equipment. Simple here. I want to stay above and be on the cutting edge of law enforcement. I want to make sure that my officers have all the tools necessary to get the job done. I don't want to just say, here, go at it, go arrest people. I want to make sure that they have some other options to safely execute their job. And a drone, it's a no-brainer. Um, Officer Zach, he went through and got his drone operator's license through FAA. He's practiced and trained with this drone. He's efficient with it. He can fly indoors and outdoors. And here's a tool that if it's going to protect his life or save somebody on a search and rescue mission, we're going to deploy the drone. I guess there is no dollar amount on what you can put on somebody's life. So a $7,000 investment here safely made an arrest on a stupid crime on these individuals that would have got a ticket but decided to run. But again, what if they ran out in that swamp? They already ran out of their shoes. It's 14 degrees outside. They're in waist deep water. What if they just got hypothermia in 5-10 minutes and now they're dead and they're out there? At least, we're able to. And again, how would law enforcement look there? We chased these guys, they ran in the woods and got wet and died. That's worst case scenario. This scenario was successful because of rapid deployment. It's easily available for them to send it out there and go, oh, there's the heat source. There's where the bad guys ran. Let's send in the guys to make a safe arrest on them.
Yeah. The no-brainer, I think it's a different definition here in Chicago. We had an officer who saw someone who had a warrant and a stolen car, and he wanted to chase him. And the radio dispatch from the higher ups, of course, said, stop, can't chase him. And he pretty much, he was like, what the fuck? This guy could be a killer. This guy we definitely know is a carjacker. This guy's violent. The bottom line is that officer who had that ambition to want to get him off the streets, because that's the main thing, is to separate that person from society. If that officer caught him and was allowed to catch him from City Hall, a life could have been saved, if not multiple lives could have been saved, because more than likely that person who just stole the car is going to do it again. Right. But he was told not to, and I don't think Chicago even knows what a drone is at City Hall. on the fifth floor. I think the only thing they know how to be certified in is to send out a text message, if that. There was two things I wanted to ask you, which is very important to me anyway. Heat signature, he ran into the woods. So we have a county called DuPage. It's a beautiful county. They don't really, a lot of them really don't like Chicago, and we're in Cook County, and they have legitimate reasons not to like us. I quite frankly don't blame them at all, one bit. They have woods, and home invasions were happening. They still are happening in DuPage in these, multi-million dollar homes. I don't think they know what drones are, to be honest with you. So I'm hoping if anyone's watching from DuPage, which I'm sure they are, they're going to get a couple drones themselves, and they could definitely afford the drones. Do you mind if they call you guys to get some, like, support and lessons and education? Like you flew it.
That's fine with us.
Yeah, just go ahead and give
I'm
them
a
a
night shift
call.
guy, so I won't be here to answer the phones.
Okay, well, someone will be. The other thing, you had a heat signature on that drone. Is that true that that heat signature could see if that alleged criminal has a gun on him or her?
Yeah, it, it it all depends on how far you are away from them, what kind of terrain they're in. Obviously, if they're in some cover, it's going to be a little bit harder because you're going to have tree branches and stuff like that. However, it was an open field with like tall reeds, and it was wetlands like Chief said, up to knee waist deep in some points. So yeah, I was able to clearly see what was in their hands, where they were hiding, all that stuff. So
Right. So you have to be certified to get a pilot license for a drone. Is that correct, or you just
yeah,
fly it
correct.
out?
You have to get a Part 107 license through the FFA or FAA.
How long does that take?
It
Approximately.
like a 5-day course, basically just to go through what you need to know for the test. Then I spent another maybe a month or so studying it frequently, and then it's just it's like a 100 question test you have to take, and then you have to renew your license every 2 years.
Wow.
Really
Okay.
easy.
Very easy. So 3 months to the most and $7,000 for one. My Illinois State Police would love to have at least five of those drones roaming around because they're tired of our Illinois State Police. I'm sure you can imagine. Uh, they see some stuff on our highways. I talked to one of them, and he was more depressed and probably had more mental illnesses than I do in my head. He said the average person don't understand what we see on these highways. We see people on fire, we see people tipped over, we start chasing people, we see dead bodies. When we approach a car, we just get, and they have to go home with that. With the drone, half of their problems could be solved.
Well,
So,
I think we live in a society, obviously, my officers here, I trust them all. I'm giving them multiple weapons to protect their lives and other people's lives. And they do a great job of that. They're going out there and they are seeing a lot of stuff out there on the streets, and they're trying to make this world a better place to live. But when it comes down to it, is I think law enforcement needs to wake up. We do need to start taking more proactive measures. We need to start giving our officers and law enforcement necessary tools to get the job done, and trust that they're going to do it properly. I mean, it is kind of sad that some of these people that we do put a lot of effort in finally getting them to justice, and then our justice system fails them, and they're put on probation and released back out on the streets to commit another crime. That's really not our job to keep them in prison. We're just trying to keep everybody safe and catch the bad guys that do commit crimes. A little bit different here in Brunswick Hills. Like I said, I want to be proactive. Law enforcement over years has been really taking a big hit across the whole United States on how we perform our duties and what we do. And I think the world doesn't understand unless they see it. Seeing is believing. So my officers all have body cameras. Our police cruisers have 5 cameras on them, front, the back, and on the sides, and one for the prisoner compartment. And now that we're utilizing the drone, it also has that capability of flying and going at a greater distance to search and recover or execute an arrest. I'm here just telling the world that we have nothing to hide. We're doing the best we can to keep everybody safe. We're going to execute arrest if we have to. We're going to do it within the means, using enough necessary to complete the task and take this person in custody safely. But we're telling the world, here's our story. We're shooting a movie every day. Not that I want to shoot a movie every day. It'd be great if my officers didn't have to pull over anybody for speeding or write any traffic tickets, or we never had to deploy the drone because somebody ran in the woods. That would be a perfect world. But you know what? It's not. And you know what? I got to trust my officers that when something does happen in the community in this area, or if they're called for mutual aid, they're able to get there rapidly and use those tools. And I think law enforcement needs to start utilizing it more and more.
Yeah, cameras, and I knew this in high school because I was using cameras when they first came out in the 90s. Cameras are Exhibit A. Cameras can be a prosecutor's best friend ever. Cameras could be a high-profile defense attorney's the worst nightmare ever. And it could go vice versa. You don't need witness testimony. You don't need to ask people for their cooperation. As you know, well, I don't know if you know, but definitely here in Chicago, there's a lot of people who are afraid to talk to the police. I talk to everybody. Um, we don't need those people to talk to the police or their cooperation because it's on camera. And I reached out to City Hall many, many times. I reached out to public officials many, many times. A lot of them told me no. Some ignored me. And I'm just sitting back like, wow, you really don't want crime to stop here in Chicago because we pretty much just gave you a lot of the answers. I advocated and still am. I have a plan coming up in the next month. Hopefully it's going to be big and hopefully it will work. I advocated for the Chicago police to get bulletproof glass on their vehicle. Why did I do that? Well, common sense to me. Two Chicago police officers got shot in a very dangerous neighborhood in the back of the yards in approximately 2014. Gangbanger just walked right up to their van and had one of those AK big guns and just started shooting at him. So I'm like, well, why would you put those officers in that gang infested neighborhood at nighttime without bulletproof glass? Well, they don't answer. The alderman, he just likes to be on Twitter. They don't have an answer. You would think you would learn from that situation, but they didn't. So what happens after they told me no with the bulletproof glass, after they said no and ignored me, another officer got shot. How? Well, they shot at her car. And I'm just sitting back like this that could have been prevented if you just got the bulletproof glass.
All through the United States, Chicago. A couple of years ago in Cleveland, same situation. Officer sitting in his car, and he was basically executed with nothing. I mean, it's sad that society are targeting law enforcement that way. And I would agree with you. I mean, if it's going to save my officers' lives, if I can get some bulletproof glass in the cars, that would be great. I spent some time overseas, and we traveled everywhere we went with bulletproof glass.
But you were overseas?
Yeah.
What'd you do? CIA?
No.
Could you tell me if you did?
No, I wouldn't tell you. I was not.
Me neither.
I did dignitary protection overseas for the Department of State.
Oh, all right, better than me. Yeah. Oh, well, look it up. He's like, yeah. See what you're talking.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to do. Overseas, I had capabilities of drones, multiple weapons, and we trusted our dignitary protection team to protect our principal, our dignitary. So as chief, when I came to Brunswick Hills, I take this community as my principal. Those are the people that we're here to protect. So I'm going to utilize every resource that I possibly can to my advantage to protect my citizens, to make sure that they're in a safe place to live, and give my officers, some fun tools to play around with. And
No, hey, do you get a lot of girls flying that drone? Like, are you just sitting here flying and like hot girls come up to you? I'm like, what are you doing?
Not usually, no.
No? Do you like fly the drone past your girlfriend's house to see if everything is okay?
I do not know.
I would be
It's strictly
doing that.
for work purposes.
Yeah, I would be doing that with my girl. So that's why I can't be trusted, but I would be flying it over my girlfriend's place to see what she's doing at work. But guys, thank you so much for coming out. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you for the story. The news article was a great. I really pray what I want to get out of this interview is a lot of Chicago cops are with this. I know they're with it. Illinois State Police are with it. I know they're with it because they tell me. But they all do say one thing, all of them. They won't let us. Who's they? But my white shirt. Okay, he doesn't count. He's keep going. The superintendent of Chicago is not even really in charge. He's just a spokesperson to take the hits on TV and who reads from a script. The mayor, our mayor is not in charge. She's just doing what they tell her to do. She's not smart enough to know about half the stuff she talks about on TV. So who can do this? And I'm just like, I really hope this video gets enough views. And maybe it call me crazy. I don't think I am. Well, maybe I am, but not for saying this. If one person does it, such as you guys, and you guys create this example like you're doing, there are some departments such as DuPage County here in Illinois who will say, all right, those Ohio guys did it. The military guy did it. We're going to do it. Because I know DuPage County wants to do it. I just don't think they figured it out. Chicago, even if they did figure it out, they won't do it because they get paid a lot of money from criminals here in Cook County. It's over, if my math is correct, at least $2 billion a year. And I think I'm being very generous. The Chicago state government here gets $2 billion a year minimum from crime. That's what they benefit. And that's just beyond sad. And DuPage County, you guys remind me of DuPage County. The state's attorney in DuPage County, he's amazing. He's hardcore. He wants to get he wants to protect his county.
I think all your Chicago police officers there, reach out to me. Have the county, DuPage County, Chief Sopkovich. I'd be happy to send over our drone policy to them, show them what we utilized here. And I have no problem sharing that information. I think, again, all law enforcement, utilize the tools that you have and that are available to you. Make this a safer world, protect our officers, and protect our individuals that we're arresting. It's, again, like you said, no brainer. It's not. It's going to cost a little bit, but we got to give our guys the proper equipment.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to talk to whoever wants to about our program here, share information with them, and thoughts and prayers that they're safe there, and hopefully, those officers will be able to take better care of their community if something like this is presented and given to them.
Thank you so much. I definitely can't speak for the state's attorney in DuPage County, but in my strong personal opinion, I think he's going to love you guys. I think he's gonna be very interested. Just again, I can't speak for him. I never met him, but he's one of the strongest people in the state of Illinois right now. He has a heart of gold where he's tired of this. You could see him on TV. He's not happy. So I thank you so much for all your time. You guys ever coming to Chicago?
I haven't been there for years, but
He's like, I'm gonna come there with my drone.
Yeah, I fly it out there.
You guys ever come to Chicago, please, you have my cell phone. Call me. The pizza here is great. It is a beautiful city. The Cubs suck and it's okay, but Wrigleyville is extremely very fun to hang out with. The bars, the casino. The girls are hot. They're a little crazy, but that's sometimes fun. Hot dogs, the skyscrapers, it's beautiful during the day, just at nighttime. Yeah, but you guys got your gun, so you're gonna be okay. Thank you so much for your time. If there's anything I could ever do for you guys, please let me know and stay in touch.
all right. Thanks, Operation
Appreciate it.
Chicago. Be
Be
safe.
safe.